What's up guys, it's Harangi DBZ here. I'm back again with another no bullshit review. If it isn't already obvious, we're going to be looking at this Vegito sculpt by Last Sleep Studio. So as you can see guys, it's a pretty epic looking statue. This is the quarter scale version. It is also available in 6 scale versions. I purchased this through toyokoku.com.au. That's where I get pretty much all my resin statues from, and I've never had any issues there. I waited a while for this one. Unfortunately, due to shipping delays, this probably took me from when I initially got my tracking about 4 months until it arrived at my door. So that's the longest I've ever had to wait for one of these statues. Usually they take about a month or so from China, but this one took ages, but it was worth the wait. As you can see guys, it looks pretty damn amazing. So in this video, I'm just going to run us through pretty much a review on the overall piece itself, give you my honest thoughts and opinions of it, what could have been done better, what they absolutely nailed. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's start things off with the good. So this is the third statue by Last Sleep Studios that I own. I've done reviews on the Goku and Vegeta by that studio. If you haven't already seen them, go check them out. Great statues. And yeah, this lives up to the standard. The Vegeto's amazing, guys. Like if you've seen it in person, you would really appreciate the attention to detail that's gone into the statue. The sculpt is flawless. Like all their sculpts, they absolutely nail it. It's just spot on to the character. The paint is very well done. Great application, great texture. No flaws that I've seen. Cool little details is with like the gloves and the boots, is they've sort of made it a bit more of a glossier material as opposed to the rest of his clothing, which really kind of stands out and just makes it a little bit unique, which I was quite fond of. So yeah, really great detail, even in the base as well. Like the first thing you see when you open the box up is the base, and just all the little details around it, the attention they've put into it, it just looks really, really cool. The other great thing, guys, is it comes with alternate heads, like all their other statues do. We have the base form Vegito and the Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. And not only do you get additional heads, but you get these really cool little stands to display them in. Lots of dragons going on with this piece. I'm not sure what the inspiration for that. Obviously it's Dragon Ball Z, but we got dragons on the stands. We got a dragon on Vegito for some reason, but it looks cool and it works. Overall, the piece flows really well. You've got Goku and Vegeta at the bottom of the base. They're sort of merging together. A lot of people weren't a fan of that, but I think it looks really cool. It's super unique, and the thing is, all these statues are really just like original works of art. They're not based on any particular scenes in the anime, so considering that this was made entirely from scratch without any sort of scene reference from the anime or manga, I find that that's really well made, and it's really just cool and unique. Another great thing, guys, is the LED lighting, so I'll get that switched on for you. As you can see, the base lights up. Comes with a little battery pack, as do their other statues. Just plugs into the back, a few AA batteries, and you can get that lit up. And it just looks even better with that lighting going on. It looks amazing. As you can see, all the transparent resin at the bottom, merging Goku and Vegeta together. The final Kamehameha energy ball at the top there also can light up, but unfortunately I don't have the right batteries for it, so I can't get that going for you at the moment. It is a little bit tricky to sort of get that happening. You have to remove the hands and get batteries, and it's got its own little separate switch in that hand. Which is a little bit inconvenient because you're probably not going to leave the LEDs on display all the time. So you'd have to constantly be taking that energy ball apart, taking the gloves off, switching the LED on and off whenever you wanted to use it, which just becomes a pain in the ass. Especially if you have an enclosed case like I do. I've recently put all my statues into Moji case, so you don't want to be kind of opening that up, messing around, turning all the LEDs on, closing the case back up, and then repeating that process every time you're done looking at it. So these days, I don't even use any of the LEDs on my switches. I've got good lighting in the case, and that's sufficient enough for me. But if you're into that stuff, then by all means, get that energy ball going. I can't tell you what batteries are required for that. Unfortunately, I didn't have the right ones. But yeah, I'm sure it looked great with that lit up anyway, but otherwise, the base looks good enough for me, and that's totally cool. Alright, so there's obviously a lot of great points with the statue. As you can see, it looks amazing, and it's going to complement any display no matter what. If you're really after good quality Vegito, I think this is the best one out there. Let me know if there's any other great quarter scale Vegito pieces available. But as far as I'm aware, this is probably the grail for Vegito at the moment. But unfortunately nothing's perfect, and there are a few cons that we will discuss. First of all being the assembly. Now a lot of the time with these statues, the assembly is a fucking bitch, and this is no different. This is probably one of the harder statues that I've had to put together. There are a lot of little pieces. As you can see, you've got all these little bits of electricity and aura, and just sort of figuring out where they go is the hard bit, and even sometimes getting them into position was quite difficult. A lot of bits don't really fit securely, like a few of these lightning bolts, everything's sort of just sitting in there fairly loosely. And another thing that was a bit of a bummer is they did provide some blue tack for you. To me, that's always a bit of a red flag when you open the box and you see a piece of blue tack in there and you're like, what the fuck, what am I going to need to use this for, you know? Like, the pieces should fit together. That's their job, right? So obviously there could have been some improvements with the engineering, I guess, of this. But once it's all sort of together, you can't really see the flaws and everything sort of sits fairly well. As long as you don't move the thing around too much, it should be fine. I didn't have to use any of the blue tack, luckily, but I know that it definitely could have helped in some situations, as I mentioned, like bits here and there. Mostly the little lightning bits, they could be held into place a little bit better. And I did have to actually, when I was putting this together, look on YouTube and find some other assembly videos, because it got to a point where it was just a pain in the ass to figure out, and I just couldn't be fucked, to be honest. So I just jumped on YouTube. There's a lot of great assembly videos already out there, so if you are looking on instructions on how to put that together, go look at those videos, guys. I'm not going to touch too much onto that today. I'm just going to talk more about the statue itself. So a couple of things to mention. Mine did arrive with a few little breaks. So if you can see on the energy ball, this top piece here, that long strands was snapped off, and then right up the top here, that long bit of energy had snapped off as well. Could have been a packaging sort of error, like it is a fragile piece and it's not uncommon for these things to arrive broken, but a bit of super glue fixed it right up, so it wasn't a huge issue. The other thing was when my box arrived, it had already been opened, I'm assuming by custom, so they could have probably tampered with it and that could have caused the breaks. But otherwise, yeah, those were the only two breaks, so not too bad. Like, as long as when you can fix it with a bit of super glue, it's not a big deal, so that's good. The other thing is the size. It is quite a tall statue. Like, as I've mentioned on my previous videos of Last Sleep, they're probably a little bit bigger than quarter scale, even though they're advertised as quarter scale. They're definitely bigger than every other quarter scale statue that I've seen. This guy's no different. Like, it's pretty tall, and the fact that the base is so big to begin with really sits him up high. The whole thing's about 73 centimeters tall in total, and that made it a little bit tricky to get in my display cabinet. He only just fit in there, and I really had to sort of make some adjustments to my display to get him in properly. So if you do plan on getting this guy, make sure you have the space to fit him, because even though he's not necessarily wide, he is pretty fucking tall compared to most other statues. So yeah, the other thing to consider is a little bit asymmetrical, if that's the word, with the electricity and stuff. Like, most of the yellow electricity is on his left side, which sort of makes the right side look a little bit empty. So if you view that side there and then you come over here and you got all this lightning sort of popping off, to me I found that a little bit awkward. And then sort of the big energy coming off the energy ball, that sort of felt unnecessary. And in fact, a lot of these little aura pieces and electricity pieces just felt unnecessary and just made the whole thing harder to assemble than it should have been. I understand that, these sculptors really want to take their statues to the next level, but it seems that in the process they're just making these statues riskier and riskier with the amount of pieces that are included and the assembly required to put these things together. Like, if they're gonna keep going in this direction, at least give us some damn instructions on how to put the thing together, else it's just gonna get more and more painful every time. But we got there in the end, thankfully. Another thing I want to mention quickly, if you can see that this blue energy aura here was quite difficult to get in place. Like, it sort of mounts in two places. You have a magnet here which it sort of clips into, and then this piece below sort of hooks in there as well, and that required a little bit of force to get it in there. So I was a little bit worried that I'm probably going to end up snapping something, but thankfully I didn't. So if you do have that issue, just keep in mind, I mean, you could probably, it's more so because of this piece here, you could probably heat that up a little bit to get it flexible and then get that piece in. But once you sort of force it in there and that magnet's set, it shouldn't be too bad. So overall, guys, that pretty much sums up this statue. I'll keep this review short and sweet for you. I'd probably give this a 9 out of 10. There's not, like, I did mention there's quite a few things that could have been improved, but to be honest, what resin company doesn't have those same issues? You know, it always comes down to packaging, assembly, all those little minor things that can be a little bit discouraging, but once you've got the piece together and it's set on display, it looks amazing, and you sort of forget about all that. So overall, guys, 9 out of 10. Like, I believe it's the best Vegito available. Not much I could think of to improve it, to be honest. Like, the sculpt is just amazing, the effects are amazing. The originality that Last Leap puts into their statues is always incredible. And I definitely recommend this and pretty much any of their products. As I mentioned, I've got the Goku and Vegeta as well, and this will sit nicely in between those two. So if you are interested in getting this piece, guys, as I mentioned, I got this one from toyokoku.com.au. It's worth having a look to see if there's any more available. I believe it costs maybe 700 to 800 Australian dollars plus shipping on top of that. Shipping was maybe 300, so roughly $1,000 all up for this guy. But yeah, if you're keen on it, guys, and you like Vegito, he's my second favorite character, second to Vegeta, so I definitely have to have this guy. Yeah, it's worth the cost by all means. And if you can't justify spending that much, you have the 6 scale version available, which is a bit cheaper for you as well, and a lot smaller. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I wanted to keep it short and sweet for you. If you have any questions about this piece, feel free to chuck a comment below. I'm happy to provide any input. And yeah, stay tuned. I've got one more statue on the way at the moment, so give me a few months and I should have another review out on that guy. If you're following my Instagram, you'll see more of my collection. Stay updated there. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.